Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bxb'S Bits and Bobs episode 24. And today is a sexy special cast with just me and Richard. It's gonna get intimate in here. We're having a sexy virtual date. Oh yeah! I wish I had some music to pipe over. I didn't put that much thought into the intro, to be honest. But yeah,
and it turned from sexy to Macho Man Randy Savage quite quickly.
Yeah.
That's taken me out of the mood straight away.
Hey, what are you saying, Randy? He's like the sex machine. What are you talking about? He's not the sex machine, obviously. That's somebody else entirely. But you know, you're getting us onto. I was gonna probably not do the wrestling, but you've taken us to the wrestling already. Actually, I mean, there isn't really anything to talk about, is there?
I'm not sure there is.
I haven't watched any wrestling in ages.
I've watched it recently.
Okay, you caught up. Yeah, I heard you were. Did you like go through months of Raw and SmackDown?
Oh no!
What did you do? Because that sounds awful.
Asking me how far behind I was, wasn't he? And I said I was like 4 months behind. I'm not watching 4 months worth of wrestling.
Oh right, I was like, what is he doing? Is he just trying to flog himself with birch twigs or something? Just out of some kind of weird, like, punish myself. It must be my fault for the new general election. I watch loads of wrestling. What was that? Okay, so you just what did you do? Just like highlights or something?
No, I just watched the most recent stuff. Try to get up to date with what's happening now. So I've not bothered to go back and watch what I've missed. Yeah, talking of flogging yourself, who is that guy who used to slap his own back? Barry Horowitz?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I am more hardcore wrestler fan than you. Anyway, yeah, I've watched the more recent stuff. Finn Balor's back. That's good. It seems everybody has left NXT and moved up to Raw now. So that's interesting.
I haven't watched NXT in months, except for the takeover, which was amazing. You watched that match, yeah?
Oh yeah, fantastic.
Oh my god, match of the year by miles! Like holy crap. Yeah. What else could I be talking about? Holy crap, that was the best thing ever. But like, yeah, it's just they did like a rejigging of the Raw and SmackDown roster, and they basically seemed to send all the good SmackDown talent to Raw, and then they sent Kevin Owens to SmackDown, and that seems to kind of been really, that's it really, isn't it? I mean, I was reading about it more than watching it. I did watch those two that Raw and SmackDown when they did that, but it was like, this is really boring. It's not very interesting.
But they've sent a bunch of NXT people up as well as the rejig. So you've got
did they?
Ty Dillon.
Oh no, he came up post Mania in the post Mania Raw.
Well, that's still recent though, right? So yeah. When I say I'm catching up, that's what I mean.
Right.
I've been catching up the past couple of weeks. So Ty Dillinger's come up, Shinsuke Nakamura's come up, Finn Balor's back, Joe's there. Yeah, it just seems like there's a bunch of fresh new blood. So interesting times.
So in an effort to make this not just a wrestling podcast, because that could happen, because it is just me and Richard today, because well, yeah, I guess everybody else is busy, got more important things to do. Fine, screw you. Adam's got a booty call he's got to go and tend to. You know, it's just like
doing again. Oh man, I thought he had some legit reason this time.
No, he's just getting action. You know, probably more than me and you, Richard, from as married men. So it's like, you know, hey, can't fault that. You know.
Travel for that. That's the joys of marriage.
The only travel I'd have to do is time.
Yeah.
I was quite subtle, but all right, fair dues. Richard got there in the end. He got there in the end. I'm just gonna leave it out there. Yeah, you know, see if he catches up. Like, hey, he got there in the end. I think before we dive into like all the other games and stuff, well, there's that much to be honest, but I'll let you tackle the big news in the United Kingdom from the last week.
The news that we're repeating 2016 pretty much for the most politically destructive year ever. Yes, looking forward to June the 8th. That will be interesting, won't it?
Well, it's almost like a combination of 2016 and 2015 together, isn't it? It's just like, let's put them, because those 2 years weren't shit enough. Let's put them together and we can do them all again in 2017 at once.
That's like the Marvel Extended Universe, but for just shit political party.
So we have another general election, basically. A snap general election in which everybody already feels exhausted. And I don't often feel sorry for politicians, but I kind of feel sorry for them now. Because, you know, you usually they operate on like afford a 5-year cycle of elections, and like they gear up and they do their, you know, they do their fundraising and they plan out what they're doing and stuff. Now they've got like less than 2 months to get their shit together for another election. So
well, it's 5 years now, isn't it, since the Fixed Term Parliament Act?
I forget that. Yeah, sorry, I'm old school. I'm old school in my politics, I guess. But when it used to be between 4 and 5, didn't it? Yeah, they had flexibility as to when they could call an election. I guess it is fixed now. Yeah,
I thought that was pretty funny that, you know, it's not that long since that act came in, and now
we're
down to 2 years per election.
Oh God, I've been talking to people about this, and it's just like everything from complete apathy to, you know, what's democracy done for us? Wouldn't a dictatorship be just so much simpler? I had somebody actually argue that to me the other day, and I can kind of like think to myself, yeah, that would be easier. You know, we wouldn't have to go through all this shit.
In a way, they're kind of going to get what they want, I suppose. But who knows? Maybe the polls are wrong again.
Well, I mean, I
suspect, you know, that after the referendum, there were a lot of people that voted then that never vote. And there were a lot of people that voted to give David Cameron a bloody nose. They didn't particularly know what they were voting for other than to vote against him. So I think the polls could be dramatically wrong this time.
It's possible. I'm hopeful. You know, we've also got like a big election happening in France at the moment, haven't we? Yeah. So that could all go very bad as well. They're all being very cocksure about how their extreme right, actually called, I believe the extreme right party there is actually called the National Front. And you know, it's quite possible that they'll get elected, which will mean the end of the European Union. So it's like, crap. This shit is like, if that happens, we probably don't have to worry too much about exit negotiations because it's just going to be one massive free for all. So like, there's so much crazy shit going on. It's a smart move on her part, I think. Though. Yeah, she's the likelihood is that she's going to be Theresa May, the leader of the Conservative Party and current Prime Minister, is going to be given a massive kind of reaffirmation of her power and her mandate to leave the Brexit. I think that's what all the pundits are calling. However, you know, you're right. You know, nobody called that result last year. Nobody predicted that. So polls don't mean shit.
She's chosen to do this, or has her hand been forced by other stories that have come out around the same time that may or may not be coincidental?
Well, there's the
story.
Yeah, there is that scandal about a lot of MPs that could have been affected in that. Yeah, you know, it's hard to say, isn't it? It's hard to say. Whatever happens, all I know I'm going to do, and that's all anybody can do, is decide what they want to do. Is I will be voting in my area for whatever party has the best chance to kick out the Tory that's in the area. That's all, or beat the Tory in the area. And that's, to be honest, in this election, I don't think necessarily party loyalty to Labour or Lib Dems or whatever is, or Green or whatever is that important. I think if you don't want the Conservatives, focus on that. Focus on voting for whatever has the best chance to stop that. Just because they've done nothing good. It's just been one long train wreck. So, you know, and it's only getting worse. So, like, you know, yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
I couldn't possibly comment.
No, Richard, poor Richard. You're in a situation that you can't say much in public. You have to be very even keel, which is fair enough. But I can comment to my heart's content, coming from an incredibly socialist family, going way back. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting, it's exciting. I'm not going to stay up to watch it because it'll probably just be really depressing. However, that morning when I woke up to find we were leaving the European Union, I did nearly hang myself. So that was not a good day.
At least you woke up to it, mate. I watched it all live in person because I was at the count.
Oh my God, that must have just been soul destroying. I've done that when I was a kid because of the political family I've come from, where I've been at counts and stuff growing up and been very politically active and stuff. But no, I couldn't imagine that one. That's just awful. That must have been the most soul destroying. Jesus.
Yeah,
Anyway.
politics.
Fingers crossed. Let's not dwell on it too much. It's obviously going to come up a lot more over the next couple of months, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. As we are quite political on this podcast in general, we're of that age, and intelligence level. I'm just putting it out there. We're not a bunch of idiots that don't think this shit's not important. We think this matters, and it does. And as always, the message to take away is: if you're in the United Kingdom or in France at the moment. If we have any French listeners, I have no idea. I suppose it's theoretically possible. Just go and fucking vote. Like, get your voice heard. Just for Christ's sake, just do it.
You said we're of the age, but actually we're a bit older than the age that matters, and that's the youth. So,
well, historically, the people that don't vote, yeah. When I say I'm of the age, I mean we're the ones that actively think about these things and look.
Yeah, I wouldn't want people to think that we're the age that are concerned about this stuff, and you shouldn't.
Everybody should be
until you're old. But yes, it's important for everybody.
Well, I mean, famously, Brexit seems to be this vote which has happened where it's the old people have fucked the young people royally. Basically, it's this incredibly short-sighted bullshit that seems to have affected everybody from about really heavily affected like the 40-year-olds down, and it's just a really anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about
video games.
Should we talk about video games? Look, I always say this. There's a reason I called this Bxb'S Bits and Bobs and not like Bxb'S video game podcast or Bxb'S like we used to be. What was it we used to be called? Brit Xbox DLC, I think that was. An expansion pack, DLC expansion. Very similar. Yeah, because we can talk about anything we want. That was my remit for this. Anything that catches our eye. We normally just talk about video games because that is the focus of the website. But hey, we do what we like. It's my podcast, and I'll cry if I want to. And I probably will. And probably in June, I'll probably be doing a lot of that. But then again, do you know what? It's like 3 days before E3, the election. Did you know that, Richard?
Is it really?
Yeah. It's like 3 days before the Microsoft press conference I think it's the 12th. Is when E3 starts. So it's like whatever the bad news is, I can then just get through to the end of that week, and I can be like, "Yay, loads of video games!" to completely like bury my head in the sand and pretend life isn't awful, and I'll be getting a Project Scorpio at the end of the year, kind of thing, and I can just consumerism. Woo!
The economy will crash so badly that E3 is going to be like the end of Bullseye. Jim Bowen standing there next to a score.
The only thing that would bum me out is if
what you could have afforded.
The only thing that would bum me out a lot about E3 is if it doesn't happen because nuclear war has instead. Which is also quite possible. We didn't even mention that. Mr. Trump dropping massive bombs in Afghanistan and airstrikes in Syria, and then massive posturing with North Korea via China, and Chinese people, the Chinese guys saying, basically this will lead to World War III and nukes and fucking, yeah, why not? Let's just kick it off globally. Let's just fucking bring it all down. The lot of it, all at once.
You know what, Ben, if that happens, we'll just call it Fallout 5, and that'll make us feel a bit better about having no games.
Just that's a good idea. I like that. We're just video game society. I think we've been doing all a lot of video games are post-apocalyptic. So at this point, I feel like I'm quite well trained. You've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn, for example. So if you can get a bow, and I'm trying to think, have I been playing anything? Yeah, it's all post-apocalyptic. Not so much this in the last 2 weeks, looking at my list, but I've definitely played a lot over time. So we'll try and do that. Do you know what? I want to mention something before we get into video games, though. Dude, you're a big Star Wars fan, aren't you?
Well, big, I guess. I don't like the newer trilogy, so I'm not stupid big.
You don't like it? You didn't like number 7? Oh, interesting.
No, I mean like the trilogy.
Oh, the prequel?
Yeah.
No, well, that's not the new trilogy, man. The new trilogy is episode 7, then it'll be 8 this year and 9 next year. That's the new trilogy.
It's not a trilogy.
Or the year after. All right, shut up. Rogue One. Did you like Rogue One?
Yes.
Right, Rogue One was amazing. We can agree on that. Anyway, Star Wars Celebration happened over the last couple of weeks, and 3 pretty awesome trailers came out of that. So we got the Last Jedi trailer. You see it?
Spoilers involved because I've deliberately avoided trailers.
Well, not really, mate. I mean, it's a case of, do you think any trailers have spoilers in them?
Yes.
in that case, all trailers have spoilers in them, you know. So it's
but some have got like massive plot points in them.
Yeah, but the fact is, you've got like it's all kind of out of order and stuff, isn't it? And it's all sort of shot and cut together in a way that makes it impossible to really know what's happening. It's just a tonal piece. I do recommend checking it out. It's very, very cool. It looked amazing. I'm proper excited for it. I mean, the other amazing trailer I saw in the last couple of weeks was the Thor Ragnarok trailer, which I've watched like 14 times because it's probably the best trailer ever made. Even if you don't particularly care about Marvel films, I recommend checking that out if you just, you appreciate the kind of the craft of a well-edited trailer, that doesn't give away too much, but gets you excited to see more. And it's also incredibly visually arresting. So I really recommend that as well. But so we had the Last Jedi trailer. We had Rebels, the final season of Rebels, season 4. I'm guessing you don't watch Rebels, but Rebels is one of the best bits of Star Wars being produced today. It's absolutely fantastic.
That's the cartoon series.
It is indeed a cartoon, and I don't watch many cartoons like that and Rick and Morty, but holy shit, Rebels is fantastic if you enjoy proper Star Wars. Like, I think it's until we got episode 7 and Rogue One and stuff, I was saying to people like Rebels is the best Star Wars since the original trilogy. It's like way better than anything in the prequel trilogy. It's absolutely fantastic. And then we also got the trailer for Battlefront 2. Did you see that one?
Yes, I did. That's not spoilery because that's just the game, right? So that's okay. But yeah, I don't know if I'm excited or not.
I'm pretty hyped, man. That's the idea of that single player is pretty cool, man. That you're going to be playing from the perspective of this female special forces trooper for the Empire, and you kind of starts off at the end of Return of the Jedi when she's on Endor's moon and she sees the second Death Star destroyed and her Emperor destroyed, and then goes on basically a revenge quest. And the whole positioning is that they're going to be positioning the rebels as terrorists, kind of like that scene in Rogue One. Remember when Saw Gerrera's lot attacked the tank? In Jeddah. I watched that again recently because it just came out on Blu-ray, and that has such incredibly strong overtones of like Islamic terrorism. That scene, it really frames the rebels as almost a negative, which I think is really brave and an entire sort of storyline behind a game that maybe positions the rebels as this horribly sort of destabilizing force. In a galaxy that has been torn apart by war for centuries, and this empire has simply come to kind of bring peace. And this woman sees the Death Star as the ultimate, bringer of peace and stability. And I think that's a very interesting avenue to explore. And I really hope they go for it. And she doesn't become good within the first 5 minutes or something and join the rebels. I love that idea. I think that's fascinating piece of storytelling. So. Randomly being co-written by Mitch Dyer, who used to be a editor at IGN, which is pretty random.
That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, fair play. He went to EA a couple of years ago, and that's what he's been doing. He hasn't been able to say for the longest time. So, I'm excited for that. I also, we both really enjoy Battlefront, don't we? As sort of a pick up and play casual shooter. Yeah, it's really good fun.
Actually, since we played it last, I got into it really pretty deeply for a good month or so. Played it almost non-stop to the exception of everything else. So yeah, I'm sure I'll pick it up, but something just niggles me a little bit about DICE games and campaigns in them. From Battlefield, they're not always brilliant, are they?
You didn't like the Battlefield 1 campaign?
I haven't played it yet.
Oh mate, no. Well, please go back and check out my review. From late last year, obviously. But no, it's strong suit. And that's actually I hope that's the format they take for Battlefront 2, because it did this thing where there were 6 mini campaigns that spanned the whole sort of breadth and depth of World War One. So you had all these different perspectives. And because this Battlefront 2 campaign, while it's following the same character, they're saying it's going to span 30 years, right? Between the end of Return of the Jedi and the beginning of Force Awakens, where, the Empire is going to become the First Order and stuff like that. And the idea that, the only way I can see that making sense is if they sort of split it up, like they did in Battlefield 1. And I think that will be fascinating. However, they have said you won't just be playing as this character. I think they've said you're also going to get to play as Kylo Ren. And I think it was Luke Skywalker as well, potentially. I can't remember. It's still very early. But, if they split it up, and, maybe that character is the narrative framing device. So it's from her point of view and stuff, like how she interacts with these characters. It should be really cool.
Like the original Black Ops, I guess. That did that really well.
No, honestly, mate, Battlefield 1's campaign, surprisingly excellent. Like, seriously strong showing from them there. So I'm excited, man. We're starting to get news for the games at the end of the year. Like, it looks like Call of Duty World War II is about to be revealed in the next few days as well.
Yeah.
Screenshots leaked just today. That didn't in any way excite me. But you know, they've gone back to World War II because they've run out of ideas. At least that's what it looks like at this point. But you know, that stuff's coming. Destiny, you know, we've had Destiny. The big gameplay reveal for that is, I think, late next month in May. So you know, stuff is starting to show up because it's been we have very little at the moment at the end of the year, and obviously, you know, we're going to get a lot out of E3, which is one of the reasons why I am so excited for this E3, because Microsoft have to have an incredible showing, and I expect them to hit massive with some stuff. You know, I really do. So yeah, that Star Wars Celebration I thought was a really good one this year. A very touching tribute to Carrie Fisher as well, which was quite emotional and sad and stuff. But a real loss definitely there. I see you've also. I mean, there's a certain thing I want to talk about, film franchise, which is the greatest film franchise in all time, and that is including the Star Wars saga, the Star Trek films, the Marvel films. This is the best films, just the best.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, I wanted you to talk about Ghost in the Shell, because everybody's told me that's proper shit and that I shouldn't waste my time to go see it. Are they right?
Mate, you'd like it. It's good.
I like a good sort of like cyberpunk future vision, but I've heard it's a very kind of by the numbers action film at the same time.
So yeah, it totally is. But what else would you expect? I mean,
have you seen the anime at all?
Yes, a long time ago.
Okay.
So
I'll give you this.
I can't say that I've seen it recently enough to compare, but
because there's a lot of depth to the anime. There's a lot of subtlety and nuance in that film, and then especially the TV series that followed. So I think people wanted that. To be fair,
well, they were never going to get out, were they? With Scarlett Johansson in an action role, you know, it's not any more intelligent than that Lucy film she did, really.
Oh, really?
You know, it's
not garbage.
Not quite as dumb as that. I mean, it's fine for what it is. Don't expect too much of it, but it looks incredible. And Beat Takeshi's in it, being badass.
He's cool.
That's all I wanted, and
he's a cool motherfucker.
Yep. Fine. Absolutely fine.
So what you're saying is now I need to talk about family. Yeah? I need to talk about family, is what you're saying, yeah?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Family, man. I don't have a Corona to hand, but if I did, I'd be drinking it right now as we talked about family and the importance of family and how you never betray your family. You stand by your family. Through thick, through thin.
Come on, mate. Just
stop teasing it.
Yeah.
I saw the Fate of the Furious, or the Fast and the Furious 8, as it's known in the UK, or Fate of the Furious, as it's known internationally, and it should be called that here because it's such a better title. It's amazing. I love these films. I even love the quite awful second one. I especially love Tokyo Drift. I definitely love everything 5, 6, 7, and now 8. They are the best films. Just the best films. There are cars. I don't know if
I've ever watched one.
Dude.
I don't think I've even watched one of them.
Dude. I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, you can pick up. They're often on sale. You can usually get the box set for like 20 or 30 quid or something like that. And they're just. It starts off right. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 are tuner culture, need for speed films, like that kind of thing. It's like that illegal street racing and criminal gangs using cars to do various nefarious things. And then number 5 comes along and it introduces The Rock's character in that, and Dwayne Johnson comes in, and basically the film, the whole structure of the films change, and they become these over-the-top heist movies. It's there's still car culture in there and cool cars and stuff like that, but it becomes these crazy action films. Like, they just step it up. And then after that, it's just become this entirely different franchise. I have a fondness for those earlier films, don't get me wrong, especially number 3, Tokyo Drift, which is set. It kind of doesn't have any of the original characters in it, and it is kind of a complete sidestep departure. But then they work all of that weirdly into the continuity of 5, 6, and 7. They do these retconning things, which is just amazing how they make it all work together. And now you've got Jason Statham in there as well as a major character, and it's just like everything the Expendables wishes it was.
Yeah.
It's that kind of the promise of these amazing action stars having the times of their life in the good versus evil, smart set pieces, well shot action, characters you weirdly really care about at this point. Like, I really, really care about these characters and what happens to them. And I genuinely like my emotions for Fast and Furious films are just as strong as they are like for the Star Wars series or anything like that. I absolutely adore these films, and they're just so much fun. And I do recommend doing. Obviously, you need to watch them with what they are in mind. They're not like groundbreaking cinema. But I don't even have a driver's license. I don't drive. I've never driven. I don't have a car.
So it's not like you're hyped for.
It's not like I'm not like I've got my I don't know my little boy racer car out there with its strange exhaust that makes it sound louder than it actually, more powerful than it actually is. It's not like I've got my spinners on my rims and shit. I don't know anything about cars. Like nothing. It's not about that. It's just they're the best films. They are so good, man. My wife loves them as well, which is great. So we just go and we went to see this. So there's this cinema full of like late teen 20-something guys, basically, and then there's me and my wife sat in the middle, like just fucking cheering them along more hyped for it than anybody else there. And it's just great, man. They're such good films. They're so much fun. You would enjoy them. You just have to watch them for what they are. Maybe I'll
start at 5.
Yeah, that's probably safe. But the only thing this is going to sound so stupid, but the only thing you're going to miss out there is like, you haven't been through the shit with those characters early on, man. You don't have that connection.
Brilliant.
You don't have that. You won't have that depth of emotional sort of strength. That you won't feel the family, Rich, if you don't go from the beginning. It's all about family.
So strong characterization in the Fast and Furious franchise. I don't think you're going to find Ghost in the Shell is too shallow at all.
You're probably right. You're probably right. They're so good though. However, you've been watching on Netflix this show. I've seen trailers for this, and all I can sort of see that this is about is that you're basically watching a show about teen suicide. Like, why is that something you want to see? I don't understand how these people are like raving about this, because it's like, I don't even want to watch 5 minutes of a show set, like, from what I can tell, it's all set from the girl who killed herself's perspective, looking back on the events, that sort of thing, and it just looks fucking morose. Why would you watch that?
It's good.
That sounds awful. 13 Reasons Why. Yes,
I saw the trailer and thought, dude, that looks like a TV show of Life is Strange without all the time travel bullshit.
That explains why I only got like 20 minutes of Life is Strange then. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's teen angst and kids being worried about shit that really doesn't matter, but it does at the time, and how small things in the context of a high school environment become tragically massively imposing on someone's life to the point that they have to kill themselves over it, or they feel they do. I'm about halfway through, and I thought the structure is pretty neat. So it is about this schoolgirl who kills herself. She leaves behind a tape, or a series of tapes rather, talking about why she did it.
Tape, like actual tapes?
Cassette tapes, like C90 cassettes.
What the fuck is wrong with this chick? It sounds like she did the world a favor when she killed herself. Because who the fuck is using a tape machine? What the fuck is that? You can get Audacity for free. Like, what do you need a tape machine for? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, she's one of these hipster types. She
God.
just asked at one point if she's got a Kindle, and she's like, nope, paperbacks. So yeah, she's at least consistent with old school media. Yeah, so she leaves all these tapes and talks about why she's done it. But it's not just a regular, I was feeling sad and I'm not enjoying school. It's quite hostile. So she dedicates a side of a tape to a particular person that she blames for her suicide. So it's pretty.
What the fuck? What the fuck is is this?
It's bleak. So yeah,
but they're school kids, right? So it's just like, I remember what it was. Kind of remember what it was like. You'd throw, you'd insult someone or something, and it's just like that. But yeah, you'd forget about it. It's not like, if that person went and topped themselves and dedicated a side of tape to how that one insult I said to this chick 5 months ago, how it made her feel and how it led to her killing herself, I'd be like, bitch, please, fuck you. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's pretty bleak. So that's the 13 reasons why. It's 13 sides of cassette tape.
Right.
For all of the people that are implicated in her death.
I can't judge you too much for watching the teen drama ranks, because you know what show I've been watching on Netflix, and I have not missed a single episode of as it comes out every week, and that is Riverdale. I've watched every episode of Riverdale up to date, which is the modern adaptation of the Archie comics, basically. So Archie and Betty and Veronica and Jughead and all of those and the Blossoms and stuff like that. And that's like, it's not as heavy as what you're describing, but it's a CW show, so you can kind of imagine what they're doing with it. No, they're going to spin off, Josie and the Pussycats, Sabrina and Teenage Witch. That's all from those comic books.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, and do you know what? I'm enjoying that. They've just introduced Molly Ringwald as Archie's mum. So it's kind of like, well, that's perfect casting, if ever I heard of it. So yeah, it's I can't judge. I also used to watch Glee, if you remember, way back when. I think at some point on the podcast. So hey, there you go. You enjoy your suicide teens, though.
No, that's all right. There's a lot of people who've got beef with it because they reckon it's glamorizing suicide. And I suppose
it's a tricky one, isn't it? Though?
Yeah, I suppose in a way it is, but then people should
maybe comment on that when you're done with it, maybe, because it's like, yeah, I mean, just by talking about that, some would argue that and then making a TV show out of it with pretty people, and putting it on Netflix, in a way that is, yeah, exactly that, glamorizing it. But then again, how do you discuss such
about it without doing that?
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're victim blaming, that's the only alternative, isn't it?
So it's a brave move.
Who's killed themselves. So yeah, I think it probably helps more than it hurts. So yeah, I'm on its side at the moment anyway.
What it's doing there is it's by making a massive mainstream TV show. What they're doing is they're saying to the people watching it, to the kids who might be watching this is an issue that's so massive and so big that we've just made a Netflix TV show about it. There are a lot of people suffering with these issues and these problems.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think that's pretty cool. Yeah,
it's good for them. If you're thinking of suicide, it's a
do it.
Idea. It's saying if you're being a dick and you might cause someone to commit suicide, don't be a dick.
Well, it's saying, yeah, even the smallest, like, I was making light of that interaction I might have had when I was a teenager, but yeah, that even the smallest interaction you have, everything we do can affect someone else, in some way. And I think that cause and effect is something that a lot of young people don't realize they have with things like social media. They just don't realize, because you can abstract yourself from it, can't you? And it's, it can be very hurtful, very damaging. So good for Netflix. Well done them. Haha. Maybe I'll check it out, because like I said, I do love the teen angsty school stuff. It just looked very heavy. Very heavy. I was just
it's tempting to think it's not for you when you reach a certain age, but I think it's important to empathize with all people.
Everyone. Yeah, man. Totally. Totes, man. Totes. Should we talk about some games now then? Actually get into the show proper after what's been 35 minutes of preamble. Right. I have been playing a game. Actually, I didn't realize this when I first of all, it kind of snuck up on me. I was like, shit, this is coming out in like a couple of days. Oh man, I've missed that. I haven't contacted anybody to get hold of a copy. And I was like, bollocks. And then it was like, finally, I got hold of a copy. I was playing it. I was like, this feels strangely familiar. And I was talking to the one who said, yeah, I remember you playing this like 2 years ago at EGX and really enjoying it then. And this game is Aaero, which has just come out on the Xbox and the PS4 and the PC, and it was crowdfunded via Kickstarter. And like I said, I played it about 2 years ago in early build. And what Aaero is a rhythm. How do they describe it? It's a rhythm action game that has sort of like an on-rails shootery vibe to it, a bit like a Rez or a Panzer Dragoon or something like that. But I actually said this in my video review. I'm glad I'm doing a video review, I say, because describing in text how you interact with this game is actually quite difficult. Whereas all you've got to do is watch my video for a few moments basically, and you'll grasp immediately how this game plays. So you are flying this ship through these custom bespoke levels while an awesome electronic dubstep drum and beat bass type music track plays, and there are these ribbons of light that go through the level, and you have to basically maneuver your ship, and your ship is controlled because on the left thumbstick, and it's 1-to-1 mapping. So wherever your thumb is holding the stick, like far right, is where the ship will be on the screen, and then that will be, then you move that to correspond with where the ribbon is, and then that will be sort of the beat element or the vocal element or something, a certain element of the song.
Okay,
and so
the stick's not moving it; the stick is in the position of it.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, so it is exactly mapped 1-to-1, which takes a little moment, but you immediately grasp it. But then it's a case of I had to be really precise with my positioning of the thumbstick. So there's a skill level there, which is actually really satisfying and definitely encourages repeat plays of the same track, which is good because there are not that many tracks. And that's okay, because this is like a game made by 2 guys in the UK. It's a tiny studio, Mad Fellows Games Developer Studio, something like Mad Fellows, I think it's just called. Yeah, and they've got, these are licensed tracks. Yeah. These are official tracks. You'll recognize some of them and some maybe not. And they've gone to these people and they've got their music, and then they've done these bespoke levels for it. So the other element of the game, I mentioned, it was an on-rail shooter. So you've got enemies which will appear on the screen, and you target them using the same 1-to-1 mapping, but on the right stick. Right? So much like a res, that's basically how that works. And then you sort of paint the targets by moving the reticle over them and then pulling the right trigger to fire your blast. And the gun, your attack, fires on the beat. So if you fire it like early, the bullets will take time and then hit on the beat. So you can get a higher score multiplier by firing them exactly on the beat or just prior to the beat to time the attacks, and then it will hit them straight away, rather than taking time to actually hit the targets. So there's quite a few little intricate elements coming to play here to actually, to score chase, because this is what this game is. So it's a rhythm game, but it's also a game where you want to get your multiplier up, you want to do your timings right, and again, replaying these levels again and again to get better scores. So there's leaderboards, global and local, and there's, like I said, there's less than 20 tracks. I think it's in the teens, and it's kind of like there's 3 distinct levels, and each level has a boss fight at the end as well, and then each of these tracks can be played on normal mode, advanced mode, and expert mode, which unlocks when you get certain amounts of stars at each the prerequisite level. So once you get enough stars, you unlock advanced, then you get enough more stars, you unlock expert. And each of those difficulty levels ramps up the complexity of the level. So there's, in a way, you've only got those 15, 20 different songs to listen to, but the levels actually play on the different difficulties substantially different to to each time players. Yeah. Yeah, but there's more to it than that, because a Guitar Hero or a Rock Band, it's just a note track, isn't it? So you can just put more notes in. Whereas there's more design, there's more thought going into each of the bespoke levels for these songs, which is why obviously there's not 40 of them, there's 20 of them or a bit less. And I love, it's the perfect combination for me. So you've got a cool shooter, you've got this indie sensibility, you've got these interesting levels, it's science fiction, and then on top of that is music I really enjoy listening to anyway. So I'm in. I love this game. I gave it 5 stars. It's one of those things where it's like, it's not perfect, but that's not what our 5 stars means. It's got some problems. I mean, yeah, I'd say I want more. I want more. But at the same time, the game,
that's a problem, really, isn't it?
It's not a problem, is it? No, I want more of this game. I mean, the game is only like 12 quid or something, 10, 12 quid or something, $15 game. 2 guys made this. It's amazing, like what they produced here. And the fact that they were able to get licensed music as well. I was reading about it on the website that they basically approached these artists with their concept, and the artists just got it. And we're like, yes, this is awesome. Let's put my music in this. Therefore, they were able to do it probably at a non-cost prohibitive kind of amount, to get these songs in there. And it's just going to get that music out to more people. However, it's not getting out to enough people, Richard, because I'm placing in the top 500 on most of these fucking leaderboards, and I'm not that good.
No,
I'm really not. Like, so it's just like you see that and you're like, oh man, why aren't more people playing this? And it just bums me out.
No offense, Ben, but I don't look at you and think there's a man with rhythm.
I am an expert guitar rock band player. I mean, I am pretty good with the rhythm games, to be fair. But this doesn't play like that. This is man, that's the stick controls, right? You know, on those ribbons, it takes some practice. Man, when you nail it, you feel like a fucking badass, and that's the feedback loop. You know, that's what feels so good about this game. There was one track that was sticks made. I got really stuck on it because it's got these environmental obstacles, these like slamming doors, right? And they slam from either from like the left and the right or the top, bottom, and then and you have to position the ship.
Yeah,
you're going at speed to get through them, right? So there's a sequence of these, and they're coming from different speeds and angles on the rhythm. And I did this track so many times, but man, by the end of it, when I got through all the way and memorized the pattern, I nailed like 5 stars. I got a really high score. I placed really well on the leaderboard. Man, did that feel good, you know? It's that feeling of going back again and again and again, and I would not quit. And I was doing this for about half an hour on this one track, maybe longer. It's just on the normal difficulty as well, I will admit. But it felt great. You know, it's like our 5 stars is a special game, and this is what this is. This is to my knowledge, I've never played a game like this before. Yeah, Res has got similarities, but it's not a rhythm game as such. It's not making you hit things, you know, at a certain time on a certain pattern in the same way. You are doing the sort of the right stick targeting, but it doesn't have that same interactivity that this game has. And I've never played a game like it.
A more recent comparator would be Thumper, I guess. But
yeah, but
that seems a bit more.
That's the other way. It's like that doesn't have the twin stick shooter element.
Exactly. You know? Aaero sounds a lot more analog and
yes.
precise.
Yeah. The fact that the controls, like you said, are all on the analog sticks, it feels almost more like you're playing an instrument. Yeah, you know, it's really cool. Like that you're doing these on the left stick, you're doing these like sweeping movements where the ribbon is going around the screen in a corkscrew, and then it's like jumping across. But you're actually doing that with the stick. You know, you're actually flying the ship around and positioning it to match those ribbon movements. It's a great feedback, and it feels the fact that they've gone for that 1-to-1 and it's not just hit a button on the beat. I've never played anything like that, and I've played a lot of rhythm games over the years, like way back to like the Parappa The Rappers, which I think you're going to talk about, and all kinds of stuff like that. You know, the Samba de Amigos and the Bongo game and all of that. And I can't remember, what was the Donkey Kong something? The Bongos, Jungle Beat. Yeah. So like, there's been a few, but they're all quite digital if you think about it. This is a truly analog one, and yeah, man, it's definitely worth checking out, man. I know you'd like it, Richard, man. The music is, I think it's quite your jam.
That sounds good. I think Guitaru Man did a bit of the old analog sticks, didn't it?
Did it? I don't think I ever did that one. So
yeah. So if it's a bit like Guitaru Man, excellent. I'm interested. For anyone else interested, if you're looking for Aaero, it's AA.
Yeah, it's an interesting. Well, it's a cool logo design. The whole art style. It's got these really minimalistic menus and pretty good load times and stuff like that. No issues in that front. I think it's surprisingly proficient on all fronts. Like you can, I mean, the fact that I played this game 2 years ago in EGX and it's only just coming out now, you can tell there's been a lot of iteration. There's been a lot of polish. You know, 2 guys like that. I can't remember what developer it was, but they basically worked at Activision prior to this, prior to setting up Madfellows and going indie. And man, I love that. I love that these people can do that now. You know, and that's why I love playing these idea Xbox games and these indie games on console and then drawing attention to them, because not enough people do. And I think that's my favorite thing to do on Bxb. So yeah, play this game. Check out Aaero. It is genuinely freaking awesome. Like really, really, really good fun. Obviously, check out my video review, because that'll give you a good indicator if the music is going to be your kind of thing or not. I imagine if you hate the dubsteps and the drum and basses and the electronic music, if you despise that and you think the only music can come out of a guitar, you probably won't enjoy this. But yeah, check that review out on the website. But if you want to, why don't we just go straight for that, Richard? Because you've been playing the PS4 up-res version of Parappa The Rapper, and I've heard it's got some problems. So would you?
Problems. Well, it has
timing issues with the inputs and stuff. I've heard
it definitely has, but you say you've heard that as if it's a new thing. It always did. So I was hoping they'd fixed it, but no. It's as one of the original rhythm action games, I guess. It was one of the first ones that I played, in any case. It works as a concept more than it does an actual experience in 2017. Chop Chop Master Onion is still awesome. Parappa the Rapper is still awesome. Some of the songs are just, they're still a delight to hear. A little dog rapping about a toilet. It doesn't get old, and it was fun to play through them again. But I think as I experienced it the first time round, it does have timing issues. And after 20 years of progress with rhythm action, it's all the more exposed now. And it really does hamper the game quite a lot. So I was convinced they'd have to do something to change it, but this really is just the original game, to the point that it's got PS Vita credits in at the end of the game. It's just a lift from the PS Vita version with up-res graphics. So yeah, I'm not sure I can really recommend it other than for people who obviously have nostalgia for the original game. It barely works as a rhythm game in 2017. And just to explain how it works for anyone not familiar with it, each of the 4 fascia buttons and a couple of the shoulder triggers are used to sort of follow a line of symbols across the top of the screen on the rhythm of the track. You hit the symbols in time, and then Parappa the Rapper will shout out the lyrics to whichever song he's doing at that time. But the words don't synchronize with the beat most of the time. So what you're pressing, you might be pressing it on time, but it doesn't sound like it is. And if you want it to sound right, that inevitably means you're pressing it at the wrong time as far as the game is concerned. So it will fail you for when it sounds the best. And yeah.
That's so counterintuitive in 2017 with a rhythm game.
So
oh my god!
As much as I love the characters, it's really hard to recommend.
It actually, in a way, sounds like the exact opposite of Aaero, where it's like everything is 1-to-1.
Yeah,
you know, in Aaero, it's like the feedback loop of the visuals with the audio, and also your actions, like is all right there, tuned perfectly. Whereas this sounds like a fucking nightmare. Oh my god. Yeah. Maybe I'd forgotten how bad that was then. If you're saying it was like that originally, it's been a very long time since I played Parappa the Rapper, but
it was that bad originally. The the chicken level, where you're trying to cook a meal for Sunny Funny, your girlfriend, that is the worst level of all. It was to begin with as well. It's difficult to even get through, let alone do well, and that's because all of the lyrics just don't match up to what's on screen. It isn't just me. Because getting through that's the 4th level out of 6, and getting through the final 2 I was fine with, but that one in particular is a mess.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I get the feeling you don't kind of want to dwell on this too long.
Well, there's not too much to say about it. It's a short game. It's 20 years old. They haven't added anything to it. They've made it.
I can't believe it's 20 years old. I'm sorry. I refuse to acknowledge
96 it was, I think, wasn't it? Or 97 first time round. So yeah, 20 years.
Shit.
I know. But yeah, it looks pretty, and the music is still good. But yeah, don't really work that well. And they haven't redone the cutscenes either, so they look like crap.
Are you go on. I was just gonna say, are you enjoying Horizon more then?
Yes, I am. I was just going to say on Parappa, I kind of bought it because I hoped that they'd recognise there is still an appetite for the character, and they'd make a new one that actually works properly.
You see, that would be awesome. Like, I feel like, rhythm games that aren't plastic instrument based could do really well right now. I mean, I played Amplitude on PS4 and was kind of underwhelmed by that, but like Aaero is a fucking revelation in that space. So yeah, I think a Parappa the Rapper could be, they could overhaul maybe how the controls work, maybe do more stuff with maybe just have a mic input, like and fucking actually rap it. some of the most fun I have playing Rock Band, for example, is when I'm on the mic and I've got a song with like, you know, rapping in it and stuff. That shit's hilarious. Why has there never been a river game focused on, you know, hip hop and rap? I think that'd be badass. That'd be so much fun. I wouldn't be up for that. I mean, the other great example of slightly different sort of rhythm games is, do you remember DJ Hero? How good is DJ Hero, man? I'd totally play another one of those.
Yeah.
So, you know,
music games ever.
Yeah, so much fun with that plastic turntable. Oh man, I had a good time with that. But you've been playing Horizon as well. Now, you know what? This is so weird, Horizon, for me. This should be my shit, man. You know, really should be my type of game. I initially, when it first came out, I put like 10, 15 hours in, and then I just I think about it occasionally, like, but I just haven't had the desire to go back. I mean, I do suffer from the whole, I've got another game to review. You know, I have to prioritize those sort of things. But it's pretty quiet right now. I could probably find the time, and I don't know. Where are you up to? How many hours have you put in?
Still not loads. Like maybe 4 or 5.
Oh, you're still super early. Okay.
Yeah, I've at least got to the point where side missions are appearing, so it's started to open up. And important things have happened with the characters, and that's what's made me think now, oh, hang on, I don't need to compare this to Zelda. This is its own thing. This is doing things that Zelda does not do. So there's this whole setup of characters that you think are going to be important. Some of them turn out to be not quite so important.
I know what you're talking about.
Story. That threw me, and it made me really invested in where it was going to go.
Those characters are an impetus, which is nice, the way they're used. There's some very nice characters. I want to know more about when you get to the open world, because everybody was raving about it, and I feel like if it hasn't grabbed me at 10, 15 hours in, I'm not really sure if it ever will. It's a very pretty game. I actually, it's one of those games where it's almost like maybe I should just wait, because my plan was Scorpio and 4K TV by the end of the year, probably at the same time. So I'm just thinking to myself, maybe I should wait for a PS4 Pro and do it on the 4K and stuff like that, you know, because I don't know if that's gonna make me want to play it again. I bought it digitally, so it's not going anywhere. So it's not like I have to play it right now. I'm not going to trade it in or anything, but I don't know. I'd be curious to see what you think of the open world, especially after Zelda for you, which I know consumed you.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the only reason I've started it now, is because I feel like I'm pretty much done with Zelda now until the DLC comes out. There's not much else I can do. So I've got all of the shrines. I've got over half of the Korok seeds.
Did you buy the £30 season pass then?
That's 20 quid.
Oh, is it? Oh, somebody told me it was 30. Oh, 30. So that's not too bad, but it's kind of weird, Nintendo with a season pass. It's kind of like, what? But why not? I guess everybody else is doing it.
But yeah, okay. I think I'm pretty much done with Zelda. The only thing I can do in that game now is look for Korok seeds, and I think there's something in the season pass which will probably help you find them without just rinsing the map aimlessly. So okay. I'm done with Zelda for now. But the thing that does strike me comparing that with Horizon is, and I've heard this mentioned on other podcasts, is just how you get around. The thing about Zelda that makes it so much fun to play all of the time is that even when you haven't found anything to do, which is rare, just getting around is fun. So whether it's being on your horse, using that stamina system to climb to places, I find that fun. I know other people don't agree. And gliding around on your hang glider thing, it all feels like there is a sense of play in just moving around. And I don't really get that with Horizon. It's just walk into the next place.
There are mounts in Horizon. You can hack certain robot creatures and make them your mount, and then you can they will then stay with you for quite a while, actually, unless something actively frightens them off. And then there is, I think, a skill where you can just summon them later on when you get quiet. I found that game, the skill points are not hard to come by. So you'll be leveling up, getting your abilities up, and that definitely the abilities, once they open up, there is a lot of variety to what you can do, and the mounts are cool as fuck, dude. You can I think there's 2 or 3 different robots you can basically make into a mount, and they are, riding around on one of them does feel pretty cool. You can get around pretty quick, and then I think the fast travel in that is quite generous as well. There's quite a lot of different fast travel points, though it is there is actually, weirdly, I remember early on, there's a consumable. It's a consumable that's tied to it. But again, you can craft them, and they're not hard to come by. And I never ran out and was just like, oh shit, now I've got to travel for ages on foot. It didn't feel like that. And I think that I was told later on you can buy
from gold pass or something.
Which basically gives you infinite fast travel. So again, it's not that prohibitive. So it makes you almost wonder why that system's in there in the first place. Like, why have limited fast travel if you're going to basically make it unlimited later on? That does seem odd. That seems odd to me. I don't understand that from a design perspective, but hey, okay.
Fake depth, isn't it? Just
I know.
Sense that there's something else to do.
You know what though? Just talking about it like this, it does make me want to go back. I'm gonna check it out. Maybe I'm off work and stuff, so maybe tomorrow I'll have a look. Because the other game I thought I'd be throwing. This is gonna be my segue. The other game I thought I'd be throwing lots of time into right now in my spare time, I've kind of come off of, and Persona. So I beat the first dungeon of Persona. And this is I've done about 12-15 hours now, and I beat Kamoshida, which is the first big evil guy, and I've beaten his dungeon and stuff. And
we're talking about Persona 5, the new one.
Persona 5, sorry, yes, thank you for that, Richard. Yes. And it kind of gives you kind of a natural end sort of place to stop when you do that, and they are starting to make noises about what's coming next. Oh, mate, I don't know how I feel about that game, though. It's strange. It's definitely not grabbing me the way Persona 4 did, and I think there's a few reasons for it. I think a lot people are starting to talk about this online as well. You might have seen articles coming up, because I think the shine, the backlash has begun, as it often does on these universally acclaimed games a few weeks later, as people really start to dig into them and find the problems. And some of them are very valid, right? The localization, the writing in this game is weird at times. It just, people forget that Persona 4 Golden wasn't the first British localized version of that game. It was the second, right? There'd already been a localized version of Persona 4, and then when Persona 4 Golden came out on the Vita, it was a second pass at that localization. And I don't know what the original Persona 4 was like, because I never played that, but Golden was great. The voice acting, the writing, very, very good. Very, very good localization. 5's isn't as good.
No, I've seen one.
It's just weird.
I've seen one particularly egregious example in Persona 5 where they've carried over a question where you've got to answer what a particular kanji symbol means. Like, what?
Well, I can't fault them for that in a way. There's localization you're talking about the bits when you're at school and you're learning and stuff, and some of it is very, very Japanese. And you talking about Japanese sayings and Japanese idioms and Japanese culture, Japanese history, and it's like, well, fair enough. This is a Japanese game. It's not like I can expect you to completely change all this to make it Americanized. It's a Google. At the end of the day, it's not the end of the world if you get those questions wrong. It's not like you're going to be massively punished. You just don't get a slight upgrade or buff into your knowledge or bravery or whatever, your different skills that you upgrade throughout the game. And it's not the end of the world. That's not the kind of localization I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the things people say to each other, and the way the dialogue is written and things like that, and the characterization. There's no standout characters. And I can't remember where I saw the article, but it's just they put all this time into characterizing Kamoshida, the villain, right? Your main antagonist in the early part of the game. And he is amazing. He's fleshed out. You completely understand his motivations. You hate him. God, you hate this guy so much. And he's done so well. And yet I've got this girl on my team, Anne, who in that same amount of time, I basically know nothing about her. I know that she had a friend who was basically the reason she was kind of letting this guy get sleazy with her was because she wanted her friend to do well on the volleyball team. I know that, but I don't really know what her hobbies are, what she's interested. She likes cake.
Okay.
I got that from one scene. But beyond that, I don't know anything about her. I spent all this time with her, and yet I really have no idea of who she is. Then there's the main male character friend. I think it's Ryuji, something like that. This is quite telling, actually, that I've spent this much time with the game, and I can't even tell you the guy's name. But it's difficult to, I think there's a lot of criticism coming towards Persona 5 for issues like this, but it's a little unfair because everybody spent, hundreds of hours potentially with Persona 4 Golden, right, on the Vita.
Yeah.
So I spent about 50, 60 hours. And, that was very positive. And I remember those characters. I remember Chie, I remember Yusuke. I remember those guys, I really bonded with them. But yeah, that's because I spent that much time with them. And I think one of the problems Persona 5 has is that it's not portable. You can't spend that much time with these characters easily. You need to sit down and, carve out a 2-hour stretch for a dungeon or for a dialogue moment or for some time to spend in the world with those characters. I can't remember in Persona 4 if after that 10, 12-hour point, 15 hours, how I felt about those characters at that point. I really don't remember. It's not as charming as Persona 4, I think, even early on. The situation you're in, where you are in Tokyo, where you live, you're stuck with this guy that doesn't like you. It's certainly not that family life you had in Persona 4, remember, with Nanako and her father. You felt very welcome. It was quite a warm environment there. You felt like the people you met there, there was some conflict, obviously, but everybody felt a bit more, willing to give you a chance, willing to let this stranger in and introduce you to that rural Japanese setting, which just inherently to that, I imagine, is a more friendly environment than urban Tokyo, Yeah. So I understand that Persona's trying to be its own thing. Persona 5 is definitely trying to be its own thing and feel different, and it definitely does. It is darker, it is bleaker, it is harsher. But because of those things, I'm not so sure I kind of want to keep going. It's a bit of a bummer in that regard. I really wanted to get sucked into it because the systems are brilliant. The time management, the combat, the dungeons are visually interesting. The enemies are fantastic. I really like what they've done. I didn't play the early Persona games, but I heard this thing where you can negotiate with the demons is something that was in the early Persona games. But the way you actually collect different personas in this is really cool. You have to talk to them, right? So you basically have to fight them, then you knock them all out, and then you can choose to negotiate with one of them. And by doing that, you can then recruit it, and bring it into your group of personas, which is totally different to just getting a random card like you did at the end of Persona 4's battles. So I think that's really, really cool. And a really, really cool layer to the battle mechanics and everything like that. Makes you think very tactically. I don't want to just destroy everyone. I want to knock them out. Then I can talk to them, or I can ask for money or an item from them and things like that. I think that's a really cool mechanic. So all of that's great, but I'm just not being grabbed by the characters and the settings like I was. And at this point where I've just finished the first dungeon, and we're kind of in that epilogue-y bit. You remember from the Persona 4 how after you did one, you'd have like downtime to level up and get to know the characters and things like that. And I'm just sort of sat there going, I don't know if I really want to do more of this right now, which is a bit of a shame. It's a bit of a shame, Richard.
It is a shame. I don't know if I'd have the appetite either. Like you say, it's something that needs to be portable. And
if that was on the Switch.
Play it on the Switch.
Oh, mate, if they put that on the Switch, I can tell you for a fact, I would have bought a Switch. I would have bought a Switch for that game. Like, straight up. I'd have been in bed playing that. I'd have been on the commute playing it, because of the structure of the game where you can just do a day, and you could do it you could do a bit of this and a bit of that. But that's like a 10-minute, 15-minute thing. And you don't have to do a dungeon crawl. You don't have to spend a long time. But then when you do want to do that, you sit down, you go, I'm going to do a dungeon thing. I'm going to spend an hour and a half on this. I'm going to spend 2 hours on this. But then you can pad that out with the little moments. Perfect for
Switch game.
It really, really would. It was great on the Vita, man. That Persona 4 Gold on the Vita is like one of the best games on a handheld I've ever experienced. Like straight up, pinnacle of handheld gaming for me, at least in recent years. So it's a real shame that I can't do that, and I think it hurts the experience so much. So it's so strange that I just don't want to sit in front of my TV and go into that world right now. It's just a maybe it's personal stuff, political stuff, the world as it is, and maybe I don't want to face demons and deal with child molesters and awful human beings. Maybe I'd rather be playing something like Planetbase, which is what I've actually have sunk some serious time into actually recently. So I'm gonna segue myself there. I'm just gonna keep monologuing because there's only 2 of us and you played shit all. So I blame you, Richard. It's all your fault. So it's all right. So what I have been playing, I have sunk some serious time into the last few days. It's not actually out yet on consoles, but I was lucky enough to get sent a code by the developer because I saw this was coming out and I was like, do you know what? I'd really want to see how that plays on a console. Basically, Planetbase, it's a colony game. So you're setting up a colony on an alien planet, kind of thing you'd expect from a PC game. Not that groundbreaking as a concept, but executed really, really well. And the controls, you always worry about a game like this on a console, and they feel great. It plays really, really well. You feel like you have enough precision and you have enough control over what would be the mouse cursor. And it's been ported well. Unlike an example of a PC port I absolutely hated on console was Kerbal, which I thought played like dog shit on the controller. Like,
yeah, I remember you talking about
so bad. Yeah, that was a great example of how not to port to console. This, however, is a shining example of how it should be done. The game is out I think it's May the 5th. So there will be a full review for this around launch. But so far, I've played what I don't. I tell you the story of my colony, Richard. What happens? It was. I don't know. Do you watch The Expanse on Netflix or anything like that?
I tried
the TV
it,
show?
bounced off it, and planned to
Well, you should
go
go back.
Yeah.
You should go back. It's one of the best bits of sci-fi on TV. But there's a thing that comes up in the 2nd season of The Expanse called the Cascade, which is the idea of how a colony fails, how one little thing, because you're in a closed ecosystem, can go wrong, and how that can have a negative effect that then cascades and then takes out everything. This happened to me playing Planetbase last night, actually, Richard. So basically, my colony was doing quite well. I'd had some fairly slow growth, but then I started to understand the systems and the interconnectivity of, the mineral that you mine and then you refine it so you can build your construction materials, and you've got your aggro domes with their plants, which is supplying the food for the colony. And that was all going well. And then all of a sudden I had a landing pad set up, and all of a sudden I had lots of new colonists coming in. Oh, this is good. This is going well. I've got more of a demand on my food production. So I built another aggro dome, and things are going quite well. And then a random thing happened, Richard. A meteor struck my aggro dome.
No.
I was like, okay, that'll be all right. I've got a backup. That's fine. But I got the aggro dome repaired, and I got it built, and things were fine, and it was going all right. And I was like, all right, I've pulled that one out. I thought for a second then that was going to be bad, but can you hear that, by the way?
Oh, was that the ice cream van?
It really is. It comes around every afternoon. It's amazing. That's fantastic. That's one of the best things about where I live. I get an ice cream van every afternoon during the summer months. So good. But anyway, it's so good. He literally pulls up outside of my house. It's amazing. It's so good. But back to Planetbase. So I was like, that's okay. I've got backup food supply. Things are going well. I was like, okay. And then a little message popped up. Colonist Ricardo has died of starvation.
Oh, poor Ricardo.
I was like, what does he mean? I've got all the productions there. It's fine. Oh no. What happened when the meteor struck? It killed all my biologists. And what do my biologists do? They harvest the food. Oh, so in my colony of 30-odd tough, hardy space colonists, there are no biologists left. And there are only workers and there are only engineers. So these poor guys can go into the aggro domes. They can look at the food
Yeah.
But they can't eat it. They can't refine it into like the meal packs. Basically, you have these like hab domes where people go to like communally eat and produce, and they basically take the raw resource of the harvested food and they make it into a meal, and then they can have the meal. But now they can't do that because I don't have any biologists. So slowly, one by one, my colony died. And I watched it happen as these people starved and they couldn't eat, and they'd go to bed and they wouldn't wake up because they just couldn't eat, Richard.
That is bullshit. Not one of them had the intellect to try and work out.
Well, they were just lowly workers. You say that as if, it's an interesting thing. It's like you could argue that that's an unrealistic system. However, it was really compelling. It was like, I will remember this for my next colony, that you can't rely, because what I've done with this colony, because I was figuring it out, this is my first colony, I didn't have had a built up enough sort of a storage of food to deal with first the growth of my colony, and then second, an unforeseen disaster, which had, affected in a very specific way my food production. And I thought it was really sad watching the numbers tick down, and the graphics are really nice, so I could actually zoom in and just see these people just like running around inside the colony slowly as their health deteriorated from a lack of food. And it was just this tragic, awful kind of moment of these poor people just like, we're just so hungry, we're just so and just dying and just keeling over and just disappearing. And it's just like, that's tragic. And there was no coming back from it. It was just like in the Expanse. It's like once this one element, because it's sort of the closed ecosystem, once this one element was broken and there was no support network in place, that was it. There was no coming back, and they just one after another dropped dead.
That would anger me that they were so useless. If Matt Damon was there, he would have worked it out, wouldn't he?
He would have worked it out. The worst thing is I've got these aggro domes with the food on the vine that they just can't turn into a meal. And it's just like, they're just walking in there, looking at it going, oh, but if only I knew how to eat it. It just was just this tragic. I really enjoy this game. I really enjoy this game. I'm going to set up a new colony. I'm going to try again, and I'm going to keep playing it, and there will be a full review. But it looks good, and it plays well. And again, it fills a bit of a void on the console. They're saying that Cities has just come out as well. Cities XL, which is this massive game. So I'm hoping to have a go at that as well in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, management games, colony management games, city management games on console. I love it. I love it, man. It's so much fun. Games like that, I love them. I need to take a break. I need to take a break. I want you to talk about the game Adam reviewed on Bxb Games, which he said was his most favorite game I've ever sent to review. And he gave it 5 stars.
Didn't he? It's a shame he's not here to talk about it, because
it is a shame.
Absolutely loved it.
Because he's too busy with the poon. So fair dues. I can't fault him for that. It's like, hey, he's probably having much more fun than we are right now. Let's be honest, Richard. I did warn him that I was going to talk about this. He didn't tell me not to be fair. But there you go. So yeah, he absolutely adored Mr. Shifty by I can't remember the developers, like Team Shifty, and published by Tiny Build. And it's also, so it's out on PC and it's out on the Switch, and the Switch version is what you've been playing. So tell us about that, because I've been playing the PC version, and I think it's excellent as well.
I also think it's excellent. I'll talk about what it is first. It's a bit like Hotline Miami. So it's a top-down action game where you control a guy. He is Mr. Shifty. He's called Mr. Shifty because he's a bit shifty in the sense that he can move really quickly and shift between spaces in what appears to be a teleportation superpower. So
he's basically Nightcrawler.
Yeah, so he can dash a couple of meters away and like jump behind enemies without them realizing. It feels incredibly overpowered to begin with. So you're just walking through this tower. You start at the base of a tower. Your job is to kill everyone on that floor, climb to the next floor, kill all the other dudes, and get to the top and beat the super dude at the top of the tower. It feels awesome, especially on. I guess you will be missing this because this is using the HD Rumble on the Switch. It feels incredible. The sense of impact as you dash around, as you hit people, chuck them through desks and windows into each other, hit them with brooms or whatever comes to hand. The sense of impact is really, really strong. And other than 1-2 Switch, which kind of shows you how HD Rumble works on the Switch, this is the first game I've played where it's actually used in a proper real environment. And it just feels out of this world. I'm really impressed with it. But the game itself is pretty simple. You just walk around with a top-down view, hit people, and shift between areas. So it's only a couple of buttons.
How far have you got?
I'm up to level 7.
Okay, you're actually a bit further than me. I was wondering if weapon diversity was going to become a thing, because I picked up the trident.
Yeah.
And how that works. I was wondering if maybe there was more weapons that interact with things differently as the game progresses.
There are more. I've not found any that significantly change how you would play the game. They just have different effects. I mean, I've just found a pillow, and the only impact seems to be that you can hurt someone in the same way, but there's just no sound or rumble attached to it. So I guess there might be some sort of stealth element to it.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, you haven't got to the point, because I was talking to Adam about this, and he was trying because he was regretfully not able to be here, and he was telling me level 8. He said is when it kicks off.
Right.
Like, and it's like he said, get to level 8 is what he was telling me, and neither of us have actually done that. But he was quite vague about it. He basically says they throw everything at you, and yet you're an unstoppable god because of your amazing abilities. Basically, from what I think he was describing is that it's one of those games where your moveset might not itself get better, but you get better at the game.
Yeah.
So the point is that because you're so good at doing that fairly simple moveset, you basically feel even more OP by the point, when you get to like level 8 and stuff, because you just become so good at what you do.
When you start working out what the game will do for you, then it becomes a lot more easier to take advantage. I don't think it's really very clear when you start off, but the more you play it, the more you realize that as you teleport and then land a punch, it does do a lot of work for you in auto aiming, and it's very, very clever at making sure you hit the right target. So what could be a problem in that you're teleporting all over the place, it would be a risk that you're not able to hit what you want to hit, because it's quite a fast-paced game and you're all over the screen all the time. But it does quite a good job of auto-aiming on enemies without making it feel as if you're not really participating. But as soon as you work out how it's doing that and get into the rhythm, you do become a lot more proficient at it, and you feel super powered. It feels incredible.
It's a game that rewards you being aggressive. Super aggressive. It's like if you try and hang back and think about something too much, that's when you'll die. It's almost like it wants you to just throw yourself into fights and just trust in the abilities you have. It's because it's very generous with the amount of teleportation and the damage you can do with the strikes, and the strikes are actually more powerful if you hit them just out of a teleport as well. So I think there's some really interesting mechanics at play there. There's actually a lot more sort of depth and thought in there than you maybe first realize when it comes, like you're saying, with the way the systems interplay and interconnect with each other as well. It's so, as a power fantasy, it's fucking brilliant.
It's really good. Like, I'm not you use the word aggressive. I'm not sure I'd use that word. I think more decisive, because there is something into it's not all about just going straight after the enemy. There is a bit of working out what's the best route. So you might want to teleport into an adjacent room and then teleport in behind them rather than just go straight for them. Maybe you don't want to even go into the room. Maybe you just want to kick the door in and smack it off the head before you even see them. There's all sorts of different strategies you can use, and there's things that you can do with the environments themselves as well. So there's different switches to set off. There are laser beams that can be used to your advantage. Maybe you want to turn on the laser beams after you've dodged them and kill all the enemies behind you.
Yep.
There are puzzles involved as well, so it's not just a power fantasy. There is a bit of thought to it as well.
Oh no, their level design is impeccable.
Really good.
Like really smart. Like so, like a moment might be you get onto a level, the enemies are aware of you, they start coming at you, so you teleport, or it might be they aren't. So you teleport to a door or move to a door, you kick the door in, which takes out one guy. You then will teleport into another room, which you grab a weapon like a stick or a broom. Then at that point the enemies are coming for you, so you're luring them into a space, into an enclosed environment, and then you teleport out of that small room and then come in from behind them. And then you can strike, say, 4, 5, 6 enemies at once with the same weapon because they have durability, so they will get destroyed after use. All kinds of things like that. And then you can grab a trident and line the enemies up by drawing them down a corridor after you, and then turn around, throw the trident, and spear them all at once. Lots of things like that. And like you said, then maybe you want to draw enemies into another room, activate a laser grid, which will then kill a bunch of them, or maybe destroy a barrel, which will explode and take out a load of them that way. Yeah, you just feel like Nightcrawler, like on a mission to the X-Men. And the story is so dumb. I love the story and the way it's told. It's so reductive and brilliant and just minimal. And it's just like, yeah, you want to kill some dudes, kill some fucking dudes.
It's nothing above the level of Streets of Rage storyline, is it?
No, it's perfect. It's like, for this kind of game, which is just about getting into the thick of it. And nice quick restarts. So when you die, you can get back to that floor again, or that room again, and just jump straight back into the action and try and experiment. Like, it really encourages you to experiment with each level, try different things.
I'm enjoying it more than Hotline Miami, because while that felt really good when you got it right, this feels really good all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
if you fuck it up, I mean,
it's got some cool music as well. Maybe not as much variety in the music as maybe in Hotline Miami. And Hotline Miami was all about like introducing you to I think some interesting licensed stuff that maybe you'd never come across before. Hotline Miami's like setting though and story is much darker and weirder. And this is way more straightforward and less challenging in that regard. Though, like you said, it is just more inherently fun from moment one.
It feels like a John Wick video game. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I sort of do. Yeah.
The rhythm of it. And obviously John Wick doesn't teleport, but the music feels...
I actually think John Wick's a bit more like Hotline Miami than this. Because I think John Wick's got a psychedelia element to it that Hotline Miami has, maybe more than this does. This feels like a comic book movie. This feels like, like I think it's more like an X-Men, it makes me think of maybe like, when in the new X movies, when Quicksilver has that awesome action moment, that he has in the last 2 movies, where he's just so OP that he just runs in and just takes everybody out without even thinking about it. And the game has that balance between thoughtful interaction and instinctual interaction, where you can just go in and like you said, be decisive and move your way through a level once you understand your capabilities, and often do it. I find myself dying, but I often find myself clearing a stage immediately. I'm quite early on. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes later. And I'm really seeing how long the game is, I wonder. Is it... I can't remember. I didn't really poke into this, but can you replay levels at higher difficulties or anything like that? Or...
I don't know about high difficulties, but you can replay them for quicker times and to die less. So record how many times you die per level. I've done that a couple of times. You don't appear to get much for it, just the achievement really of doing it quicker.
So what's the problem? You intimated to me that there was an issue on the Switch with this.
Yeah, I don't know how severe it is as it gets further on. Now, if Adam's told you level 8 gets particularly busy, then I'm worried, because there are widespread reports of the Switch version having big frame rate problems, and I've hit a bit of that already. Tiny Bit have issued a statement to say they know it's an issue. They're not very reassuring in what they're going to do about it. Maybe they won't do too much about it. They've said, well, even Zelda stutters a bit. Which,
but that's kind of tiny build. That's kind of why I love them as well. They're almost like these cowboy publishers where it's like they're just on the wild west of indie development. And then it's like, hey, look, this is the game. You know, we put it on a console. The Switch is underpowered. Maybe deal with it.
Yeah, they've said they've made a conscious decision to live with frame rate problems rather than cut stuff out and dilute the experience. But hopefully they fix that, because if it's as bad as people are saying, then that's a real problem in this sort of game. It is all about fast pace, and if there's slowdown and frame rate problems, it will damage the core value of the game.
I think it's Tiny Build's ethos. It's like we build for, you know, the games we make are for PC. That's where they are originally made for, and you know, they port to consoles often a lot later, like what we've had with Punch Club and stuff like that. And I suspect this game will make its way to Xbox and PS4 as well.
Yeah.
But you know, maybe they didn't optimize as well. The Switch, of course, who knows if they may have had a dev kit really late on in the cycle and stuff, and just tried to get it working on that. I don't know what the Switch is like to develop for at this moment, because I don't think a lot of people have really talked about it. So who knows?
Hopefully they fix it. I mean, so far it's been not too bad. The first 4 or 5 levels I didn't have any issue. It started to creep in around 6. But not consistently. So I
on PC I had a crash to dash, which threw up an error code in the message that said it'd be really nice if you could email this to the developers so we can try and fix it. And I was just I
had that once on Switch version 2. It did crash out. So that's not just on the PC. But yeah, in its favor, the HD Rumble stuff on Mr. Shifty on the Switch is really good.
I mean, yeah, technical problems aside, this is a blast of a game. Like, so much fun. Like, just, I hope it comes to Xbox and we can talk about it again when it does, and PS4 and stuff. And I suspect it will, though I've heard nothing official about that. But yeah, it's just, how much is it on the Switch, by the way?
Oh, how much did I pay? I can't remember. About 15 quid, something like that.
All right, okay, there it is.
So 13 maybe.
I was only asking because, you know, they're putting Street Fighter 2 out for £35, so I figured you could charge whatever you like for games on the Switch and people will still pay for it. So
you're kidding me? That's not the real price, is it? I figured that was just some placeholder.
No, that's the real price.
35 quid. Okay. Good luck, guys. Yeah. Good luck.
It's got a lot. Look. Fairness, loads of new content in there, like a tag mode, all kinds of stuff that isn't available anywhere else that they're doing just for the Switch version, and it is the best Street Fighter, but that seems like a lot for a game that came out, I don't even know how long ago at this point. A really long time. So, sure.
92?
I don't know. Wow. What's that, like 25 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. £35. It's good times. Right, I think that all brings us to the end of our games discussion. We've got a few little bits of news, though, I think we're going to just chuck out before we sign off this episode. So, I don't know, Nintendo do make weird decisions sometimes, so I guess this isn't completely out of the norm for them. But, you know, this is an item that's still in demand, that people still really want, and Nintendo have decided to discontinue production of the mini NES. And you're like, I never actually got one of these because I was always keeping an eye on Amazon and stuff, and I never caught it when stock was available. And so I would have bought one, right? So I'm an example of that. I don't get this, Richard. Why? What's going on? Why would Nintendo decide to stop making these things that they could keep selling quite easily, I might add?
Well, obviously they're not going to tell us. That's the other issue, is that they do these things and don't explain themselves. But some people are saying it's because they've got the virtual console coming to Switch. They'd rather sell NES games on that rather than have people be able to hack the NES Mini and put any ROMs they like onto it, which I know some people were able to do. Another part of me just thinks it's because they like the idea of building their brand as like this boutique thing where everything is collectible. They're doing the same thing with their amiibos now. They used to be like mass produced. They'd be lining the walls in game and wherever else they sell them. Nowadays, it seems like they're putting the price up for their amiibos, dribbling out a small amount of stock, and then if you can't get one, too bad. Weird. There's more demand than they are making units for. Clearly, they don't care for whatever reason. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, that they don't really want to tell us why.
I mean, almost immediately, rumors started circulating and reports. You know, I don't know how much truth there is to this, but it would make a lot of sense that the end of this year we get a mini SNES.
Yeah.
I mean, that the idea of that excites the shit out of me. I mean, if there was ever a Nintendo console I loved, it was the SNES. You know, and 30 or 40 games or whatever on that. You know, that's a crazy good library. They could put together an amazing selection of titles for that.
Wouldn't you just rather they bundle a shitload of ROMs onto the Switch eStore?
Well, I want to ask you for 60 or 50, 60 quid for just a big pack of like, here's the SNES Classic pack, like that sort of thing. I guess that's dependent on whether or not I own a Switch at that point. I don't know. I mean, obviously the Switch, there's, you know, the reports aren't lies. The Switch has sold incredibly well. They've had to boost, you know, production on that as well. It's still quite hard to get hold of in a lot of places. So that's doing very, very well for them, even with their somewhat thin lineup of games, but that's getting better all the time as well. We've obviously got Mario Kart just around the corner, and then we've got yeah, absolutely, and then lots. You know, there's more games. I think basically it looks like one big release a month for them for the foreseeable future, which is I think a fairly smart way of doing things. But if anything, what it's proven is that a console doesn't need 20 games to launch with. It needs one great game, and if it has one great game, it'll sell. You know, so that's what's happened with Zelda. And it's like, you know, speculation about what's the Scorpio going to have and stuff. Well, if the Scorpio has an amazing version of Crackdown,
yeah,
that'll do it. You know, if it gets incredible, you know, all it needs is one game. Maybe there's a game we don't know about, you know, so, you know, I'm not too worried about that either. But yeah, maybe this mini SNES is pointless. But I do think the mini NES and potentially the SNES, it's a different market, isn't it? They're not trying to sell these to the people buying the Switch, are they? They're trying to create an impulse buy item. But then if they are genuinely trying to do that, then they're doing that wrong as well. Because
I don't think they are doing that. Because
do you remember that was initially what they said the NES would be? It was going to be an item that you'd find as an impulse buy item at a cash point in a Walmart. Do you remember that? That's how that was initially.
Or the original NES or a mini NES.
The mini NES. That's how that was originally marketed. And then the shortages meant it became this highly sought after collectible item, which was going for 12 times the price on eBay. You know, which I think is disgusting. If you're making items that are basically being made into this item that becomes this resell gold mine for people that are just gouging. You know, it's just gross. Just produce it to the point where people can get it.
I
doesn't make sense.
I think they're doing it on purpose because
I think they are. They always do. They always do.
That's it. It's consistent behavior from them. They want their products to have this prestige, this collectability, and desirability, where people think, "I want that. I can't quite get it," and it makes it more desirable.
But it's just unfair on the consumer,
that's how
isn't
they keep their prices up. They notoriously value their products higher than any other game producer would. Any other game producer, their games and their consoles devalue quite quickly.
But it's just grim, man. It's grim. I think it's encouraging the grey market like the way it does is, or not necessarily grey market, but just resale market. Yeah, it's just, I don't like it, man. It's not fair that, you know, if you want a mini NES now, you're gonna have to spend $300 or whatever or more. Or fucking, I saw one listed for 10 grand on eBay. You know, so you know, they'll get to a point where they're going to be so short on, you know, availability that's going to happen. People will buy it for that kind of money, and that's not right. That's not right. Don't like it. Don't like it. I personally won't buy one now. That's it. Nintendo have lost my custom. So well done them, I suppose. You know, that's what they want to do. You know, like for what when mini SNES gets announced, I guess I'll be pre-ordering that because that's pretty much the only way I'll be able to get hold of one.
So they've got what they wanted then, Ben. They've not lost your
maybe they won't.
All. They've made you think about pre-ordering the next. So that's what
maybe.
Want, really.
Yeah, that's shit, isn't it? That's shit. They're fuckers. I hate Nintendo. Moving on. So I guess guess in no shock to anyone ever, Remedy are going to go multi-platform with their next big release. And I think that's off the back of what soft Quantum Break sales, really, isn't it? I mean, can't really be off the back of anything else. I mean, that was a game you gave an 8 out of 10 to. I greatly enjoyed. We talked about that quite a bit when it came out.
I really liked it. I think from a technical point of view, it could have been better. Considering what the videos looked like when it first came out, it looks mind-blowing, and it didn't live up to that. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I played it back-to-back twice, so that says something. But yeah, you're right. It's not a surprise that they've gone multi-platform at all. I don't know if it's really a reaction to sales of Xbox One's exclusivity for their last game. It's just there was never a sort of an exclusivity deal with Microsoft going forward, was there? It was just for that one game. So
yeah,
it's not like there's a falling out or anything.
Well, I mean, no, exactly. And I'm of the believer, as these consoles are now basically the same, that why should there be exclusives unless it's a first party one, you know, unless it's being made by Sony or Microsoft internally. Why not put out games on every platform? It's only going to help you. I mean, because you might get that lump sum during development from a deal, but the more platforms you put out on, the more you sell. And it's better for the consumer, and it's better for the developer, and it's better for the publisher. It's better for everyone.
And I would rather there was a wider audience and more people for me to talk about these games with. If it means that Alan Wake 2 comes out on PS4 as well, and I've got more people to talk about that game with, it will be a better product because they'll invest more money in a game that has a wider audience. I actually
think Microsoft are in a really weird place with their exclusives now. Because their exclusives are all Play Anywhere titles on Windows 10.
Yeah. Most
people then buy it on PC. And actually kind of hurts the Xbox sales, So I don't understand. I'm not sure I understand that strategy.
Why does it hurt the Xbox sales?
Well, theoretically, right? If you want an exclusive, right, you're doing it to sell your console, right? So a PS4 exclusive like Horizon Zero Dawn exists to help sell PlayStations, right? Because they can put that in a bundle and they can market it the crap out of it, and they can put adverts in the cinema and stuff, as I've seen every time I've been in the last few. Actually, have you noticed this? Talking connected to that, cinema advertising at the moment is all about PlayStation. I must have had about 4 PS4 game adverts before I saw Fate of the Furious the other day. Like, oh my god, there were so many. But good for them. They're pushing hard. They're doing well. But like, yeah, it's to help sell the hardware, isn't it? That's why you have an exclusive. Why else do you do it? Why else do you do it? Other than to prevent the other console from having it. I mean,
I don't think it's to sell consoles, because selling consoles is not the end game for the manufacturers.
No, but
it's selling.
It's selling the game. It's selling the software. Yeah, but you need to buy the hardware to play the software, isn't it? So it's kind of chicken and egg, isn't it?
Yeah, well, with Microsoft are gunning for this single platform approach, aren't they? So whichever console, or if you buy a PC or a console, it doesn't matter. You're still using their services. There are services before hardware company. So I don't suppose they're that bothered. If you don't buy an Xbox, you're still buying the game on their service. What do they care?
But isn't the worry that if you don't start getting Xboxes in homes, that you lose more and more market share, you get less and less games appearing on the hardware?
Well, if you're in a position where you're playing games on your PC and you want a console, which one are you going to buy? Are you going to buy the one that requires you to re-buy all of your games, or will you buy an Xbox because you already own all those games anyway? Well,
no, you see, that's the thing. No, I'd buy the PlayStation. If I had a gaming PC, I'd buy a PlayStation, because if all your Xbox games are already on PC, then why the hell do I want to buy an Xbox? Why would I need them on the Xbox as well? I'd buy the PlayStation because I'll get their exclusives. Because see what I mean? It doesn't quite make sense to me, and I I think having that additive element of the Anywhere initiative is cool, but
there is the cost difference, though, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. PC games are 15, 20 quid
angle,
less. Yeah,
I don't play. I mean, hardware wise, I don't play PC games because I can't afford a PC good enough to run modern games, and I don't need to afford one because I have consoles.
that's
good enough for me. So if I ever do get a PC, then great. I've already got a bunch of games that I can see how they run on it because I've already bought the Xbox versions. Fine. But yeah, I don't know what the thinking would be from the other perspective, from a PC gamer that wants a console. I don't know how many of them there are, really.
Well, you see, that's the thing. You're only going to get a console for the exclusives. And if you've already got the Microsoft exclusives because you're a PC gamer with a good rig, you're not going to buy an Xbox. You're going to buy a PlayStation. And that's, I mean, I frequent a few video game communities and places like that around the internet. That seems to be the overriding kind of thought process out there. Like you, I don't have a good PC gamer rig. I'm mostly a console gamer as well. However, it's kind of like talking about cost. Well, it's going to be very interesting to see how much they ask for the Scorpio, isn't it? Because a lot of people will say you want the best gaming experience, you want the PC because you're going to get the best resolution with the best frame rate. So the Scorpio is positioning itself at the moment as we're going to be able to offer that. We're going to offer you 4K games at 60 frames or whatever it is that game is designed at. If it's designed at 30, 30 or 60 or 90 or unlocked, depending on what they can do. And that's what a PC gamer will tell you. He'll say, the reason I game on PC is because I can unlock my frame rates and I can get the best resolutions. So that's why people will argue for that. But it's interesting. It's interesting.
Just
Remedy go
wider angle on that. They call it Xbox Anywhere because it's designed for people who play in multiple locations, right? So you might have a PC that can run these high-end games on the Xbox service, but you still want to play them in the bedroom or somewhere else. You don't want to buy a second PC.
Yeah, but a lot of people have their PC hooked up to their TV now. It's pretty common. Or you have a Steam Link or something so you can stream it across the house. So that's quite common. I honestly don't think many people have a high-end gaming PC and an Xbox One. I just don't see the use case for that. Like, you could buy a 40 quid Steam Link or connect it to your TV for a lot less money, Why? Then again, there are the people that own multiple Xbox Ones like myself. So, that does happen. There are use cases. Anyway, talking about Xbox, well, we're still in the Xbox kind of area. Let's mention, because it just came out, May's games with gold have been announced, and boy, do they suck.
Not Theresa May's games with gold.
No, Xboxes. They're not good, are they, Richard? Did you see them, or should I just run them down for you? I'll just go through them.
I think I've got all of them on PS Plus already. Great Gianna's Sisters or whatever it is. That was on PS Plus.
Gianna's Sisters. Let me find this. Gianna's Sisters Twisted Dreams.
Yeah.
Is that the runner, Gianna's Sisters game? Or is that like a 2D platformer?
You know what? I don't think I've ever played it. Not sure.
It's a surprise, isn't it, that you haven't played that? Yeah, because it's thrilling sounding. Lara Croft, Temple of Osiris, I want to say. Yes, Temple of Osiris.
That's pretty good.
Did you review that? That? You did, didn't you? I remember that. That was a while back, though, wasn't it? Was that on Xbox One?
It's Xbox One. It was pretty early on because the first one was 360, wasn't it? And I think we got the Temple of Osiris sequel probably in the first year of Xbox One. So
did you like that game? I can't remember.
Yeah, I liked it enough to recommend. I would say it was fine. Not sure how it stands up today, mind, but it was okay.
I think people have somewhat missed the connection here between this game to the golden date, right? May the 4th is a big deal for Star Wars, right? Has been for a while. So because of that, we've got two Star Wars games in the 360 backwards compatibility list. We've got Force Unleashed 2, which is shit. However, Force Unleashed has already been a Games with Gold game recently. But yeah, Force Unleashed 2 is...
No, it wasn't. That was the first one.
No, I know. I just said that. I said the first one was just recently a Games with Gold.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah. And 2 is now going to be that, and it's not good. It's not a good game. And then Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga, Richard's favorite ever franchise, Lego games. To be fair, though, this is when they were really good. This is the early Lego game.
That dates back to when I did actually like Lego.
Yeah.
Because there was a time when I was fine with it. It's just a decade of
the same game.
No improvement has worn away my appetite.
I mean, this is not the most exciting lineup. It makes sense considering the date and stuff. And I also think it makes sense because I predict June, what with E3, might bring us some surprises in the Games with Gold. It could bring us surprises with titles, like it could bring us with a surprise stealth drop at E3 itself for the Games with Gold subscribers. But it could also bring us changes to the whole program, you know, and how Games with Gold works. You never know what could get announced at E3.
Well, so they're going to have to respond to the stellar lineup that will be on Nintendo's online service.
What are we gonna? What do you think it will be? Excite Bike for a month, and then they take it away. And that's how it works, isn't it? Yeah,
that's what it will be. Yes.
You don't even get to keep it. It's then removed from your clutched. Yeah, Excite Bike. That's gonna be. Can't wait to play that again. I don't have a Switch. Yeah, not exactly thrilling, but yeah, who knows? I mean, I'm are you in the test thing on Xbox? Insider program.
Yeah.
You are now, are you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, the Games Pass should be going live soon, I think, for everybody, shouldn't it? Like that should be coming out and being made available to everybody. But I've been testing that, and I think that's the subscription thing. So you never know, that could get. What I'm saying is that might end up becoming something to do with Gold. Maybe there'll be a freebie in there for a few people to try out. Maybe there'll be a reduction as part of being a subscriber. But in a connected note to that, our final piece of news before we sign off for the day is that Microsoft are making the refunds system on Xbox a lot easier, and it's currently in the insider program for testing, though I haven't tested it myself because, strangely enough, I've never tried to get a refund on a digital purchase of a game. Have you ever tried to do this, Richard? Like on Xbox or PC or PlayStation or anything? I've never tried to do it, ever. So
I don't think I have. I mean, no, because the only reason you would, well, why would you? Is that this is if you don't like the game, isn't it?
Yeah. So basically, Xbox is bringing in very similar to Steam's new development, which is you can instead of having to call up customer service, you can basically request a refund if you've played a game after purchasing it within 14 days of buying it. If you've played less than 2 hours of the game, and as long as you've actually tried to play it. If you don't like it, if you've got a problem with it, you can get a refund or request a refund for the game. And it only applies to the games, not season passes or DLC, obviously. But you can request a refund for a game,
Yeah. I suppose it works if you've accidentally bought something or you've got children that do that. I don't know.
But if you've got children playing on your console, there's like a million parental features, isn't there, to prohibit just that.
We know it happens, right? So it's good that they've got that system in there as a safeguard as well. Fine. But yeah, I've never tried to do it myself. The only time I've had a refund is when they forced it on me. Because they've cancelled a few things, haven't they? That Xbox Fitness thing, I'd bought stuff on that.
Oh, yeah.
And when they decided to can it, they just gave me my money back.
What I wonder about this is how isn't this just a way of having a demo?
Yeah.
I mean, like, how much are they? I mean, there are T's and C's about this, about like taking the piss, and you know, but how?
Well, if you can only play for a couple of hours, then how much can you take the piss?
Well, that's the thing, and how much can the system be abused? I mean, wouldn't it mean you can just buy a game, try it for a couple of hours, and be like, no, didn't really like that, or you know, that's not for me. I can get a refund. I mean, and that's basically what it is, isn't it? It's basically giving you the ability to demo a game.
Yeah, unless I don't know how it's administered, whether it's an automatic refund or whether someone's signing this off at the other end, because it's not immediate, is it?
I imagine there'll be some processing time and stuff, but I can't remember. I mean, it's like I said, it's in the insider program right now. It's not gone live to everybody, so people are testing this out. I'm not the kind of person that's going to buy something just to see if I can refund it, though. Seems crazy. But I mean, I guess there are consumers out there that are more impulse driven, like who don't do the research like we do. But if I'm gonna buy a game, I'm gonna look up the reviews. Like, well, yeah, I'm gonna look up.
You're carefully selecting your games. You just buy any old shit.
No, I don't. Fuck off. I mean, like, no. If before I buy a game, I like the spring sale just happened, and I ended up not buying anything in the spring sale because
got it all.
Basically got it all already, or all the stuff I haven't. I'm like, well, do I need Dead Island again? Probably not. Yeah. I've got Dying Light. So but I mean, it's like who are the consumers that are buying games without really looking into what they're buying first? I suppose there are people that do that will put $60 down or 50 quid down on a game without knowing anything about it, and then they'll be like, "Oh my god, this is shit."
I don't think it's so much that. I mean, the past couple of years, we've seen a big rise in the number of games that come out just not finished or broken. Stuff like
Mass
go
Effect.
Back a bit now. Mass Effect. There you go. But just thinking of stuff like Master Chief Collection, which was broken.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
And a lot of people ask for refunds on that, I think, going back. So stuff like that, where things just, you might have done the research, you might have bought something in good faith, it just doesn't work properly when it comes out.
Well, that's a sad state, isn't it? Then in that case, that you think this exists because Microsoft are basically saying we release onto our closed ecosystem so much broken shit, you should be able to get a refund easier.
I don't think it's an admission of that kind. It's just an acknowledgement. Anything else you buy, if you don't buy something digitally, if it doesn't work, you've got a right to take it back and get your money back. It shouldn't be.
Yeah, but this isn't for just stuff that doesn't work. I mean, this is like a blanket.
That's one of the applications of it, isn't it? There should be a refund policy to cover that sort of scenario.
I'd say that scenario makes sense on Steam because they have far less control over what games are released onto Steam, Valve, whereas on an Xbox there's meant to be a level of curation that prevents that. And I think the difficulty there is that, yes, Master Chief Collection was broken from the moment you tried to launch multiplayer. They just didn't work. So that one makes sense. However, like Mass Effect, a lot of those bugs I only kind of had problems with much later in the game. So that's after the 2-hour point. Yeah. So I don't think it necessarily even works for that use case that much. So really, this is more like a try before you buy thing. This is a weird like paid demo system. But I think there is, like I said, I think there are T's and C's in there like that basically say you can't take the piss. You can't constantly be buying and returning games. They will flag you up for that.
Yeah.
So it's an odd one for me. Look, more consumer flexibility, giving more rights to the consumer and stuff like that. That's only a good thing. However, how often do you buy a game and just be like, oh no, that was wrong? I mean, I'm not that consumer. Clearly, we're not that person.
No.
So
I don't see this as a big deal. It's just a nice side note, which is probably why they've released it now and not talked about it at E3. It's not a big deal, is it?
And I think it might have stuff to do with legal stuff as well, to do with like the European Union territories and stuff like that have been pushing for more returnable consumer rights on digital purchases for quite a while. And maybe they're getting in before a stringent law is passed that basically makes them do this, which I suspect Sony will follow suit before long as well. It just makes sense, doesn't it, for a consumer to be able to return something digitally? Now did you see the recent statistics about the digital purchases on video games in the US? No. That came out, like 70-something% of games purchased in America last year were digital. Now that includes PC and mobile, obviously. So that might skew the numbers, though I'm not a big fan of using that word as skew because it's still a game, isn't it? So why is that any less legitimate? But
is that specifically purchases, not free to download stuff?
I have to look into it more closely, but I believe it was purchases. Yeah. So I think that's a very interesting statistic. So the fact that we were all buying games digitally and yet we weren't able to return them in a lot of cases. I do think that's an interesting consumer oversight that's gone on for too long. So yeah, this can only be a good thing. And so we will end this podcast on a positive pro-consumer note. Yeah, everything is going to be great. We're going to be back in 2 weeks. We probably still haven't played any games because it is quiet right now, isn't it? Like, is there any releases in the next couple of weeks? Well, you said Mario Kart, which is on Switch, 8. Which is a re-release of a Wii U game. So get excited for that. Woo!
Well, it'll be new to me, so I don't know. I'll be excited for that. Puyo Puyo Tetris is on Switch as well next week. I'll probably get that because the one game so far, actually, there's a demo of it out at the moment. It's the one game that she's really enjoyed playing and not just tolerated for my enjoyment. So probably pick that up. Don't know if there's anything else really. It's quite a fallow period.
It's a little bit quiet. I know things like Injustice. Oh, Prey, I think, is just around the corner, isn't it? I'm not sure if that's next week or the week after, but I know it's very soon. I don't know what to think about that. In Prey-related news, though, they are releasing a demo. I think before the game even comes out, which includes the first hour of the game
on consoles.
Yeah, on consoles. Yeah. So we'll all be able to try it before buying it, which I think is, well, it doesn't happen that often now, that does it? So that's cool that they're doing that. So I think, that's just around the corner. Like I said, Injustice 2 isn't far off, though. I think that's more like mid-May. So there are games. I mean, it's actually kind of nice because normally we'd have had about a month or more at this point of quite relaxed releases, but it's not really been that way, has it? It's been a very, very busy start to the year. So, yeah, I might. Do you know what I'm thinking about picking up, Richard? What I might pick up to play? I'm thinking of picking up Yakuza 0.
Yeah, saw our friend Mark pimping that out today because it's in the sale for £30, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I got £10 PlayStation credit for, I think, buying Horizon or something. They gave me £10 back, so I was like, ooh, I could get that for 20 quid. That might be worth a punt for 20.
Make sure you spend that because that expires this month.
When?
And you've got to spend it in April, otherwise you lose it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I definitely will then. Thank you. Look at that. We're just all about the consumer advice today, aren't we, Richard? We're just giving out the good info. Yeah, that's what we do here.
I pre-ordered Polybius, the new Jeff Minter game.
Oh, yes. I saw that listed up there. I was looking at that new Housemarque game that's coming, but that's a while off yet. The new top-down shooter. They do make the best damn shooters, those guys. On PlayStation. So good, man. Resogun is amazing. Yeah, I was looking at that as well. But anyway, I think we should wrap this show up. See, you said it was going to be a short one with just two of us, but look, 2 hours later.
Yeah, still going.
Still going. Still trucking along, Richard. At least until June or World War III. Whatever comes first.
Fallout 5, mate.
Fallout 5. I'm looking forward to it. Have you got, I'm going to have to start working on my Pip-Boy. I didn't get that special edition annoyingly, so I don't have one. So I have to make my own. We get some cereal boxes. I'm going to Blue Peter that shit. It's going to be good.
Yeah. Cool.
Right. So that's been just the two of us. Oh, it's been so romantic.
Two of us.
You know it's bad when Richard starts singing.
Yeah. Let's end there.
Yeah, let's end there on that beautiful note. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Make sure you head over to Bxb Games for all the written and video coverage that goes up on the site. You can follow us on Twitter at Bxb Games. We're on Facebook at Bxb Games. Richard can be found as at Colonel Red on Twitter. I am at DIYE on Twitter. And yes, many channels, many places. We're on all of them. I'm sure you can find it out. We mostly known as Bxb Games. I actually streamed some stuff on Beam the other night at Bxb Games on Beam. I suspect that's Beam/Bxb Games, but I really can't remember. So yeah, check that out as well. It's all good. We're everywhere, always doing things, playing games, talking about them. That's what we do. See you in 2 weeks. Goodbye.
Bye.